Good afternoon, this is Keith All, and today I'm going to teach you on how to create a splash screen in Excel 2013. Now, first of all, let's describe what a splash screen is. It's basically a screen or an image, whatever you want it to be, that will appear when the workbook is first open. And in this case, in this workbook example, it's going to disappear automatically after a specified period of time has elapsed. Now, how will this work? Now, within every single Excel workbook, you will have what is called a workbook open subroutine that will get executed. And if there is code within there, in other words, VBA code, that code will get executed upon opening up the workbook. And the purpose of this subroutine, in other words, in this particular workbook, I'm going to be placing code within this subroutine that will display a user form. And then this user form is again completely customizable to your needs. Now, inside of every single user form control within Excel, there's an activate event. And when the user form is displayed, basically it is shown to the end user, this activate event will get triggered. Now, within this event or subroutine, it uses the onTime method of the application object to determine the length of time the user form or splash screen will be displayed. And after a specified period of time elapses, another subroutine will get executed to unload the splash screen or user form from memory. Now, this particular workbook is going to be utilizing certain methods and events that will display the user form and unload the user form or splash screen from memory. Now, for every user form control, there's always going to be an initialize event and an activate event. In this particular workbook, I'm only going to be utilizing the activate event, but I wanted to bring up the initialize event so you have better clarification on when these two events get triggered. The initialize event occurs first. In other words, it will get triggered prior to the activate event and occurs when the form is actually loaded into memory. The activate event occurs whenever it is shown to the end user or displayed on your computer screen. Now, if within your VBA code, if you are hiding the user form and then re-showing that user form again when without actually unloading the user form from memory, the activate event will get fired again every time that you show it. However, the initialize event will not get executed or triggered because you did not unload the user form prior to you hiding the user form. We're also going to be utilizing the show method of the user form control. Now, within the show method has an optional argument or parameter that you can pass it. And this parameter is of type Boolean. And what that means is either you pass it true or you pass it false. And it is used to determine if the user form is modal or modal-less. Now, if a user form is modal, it means that this user form is a child window that requires users to interact with that child window before you can actually return to the operating parent window. So when you use the show method in your VBA code, it makes the user form visible to the user. And if the form has not yet been loaded, it is loaded automatically for you. We're also going to be using the onTime method of the application object. And this onTime method has 4 different parameters, but today we're only going to be utilizing 2 parameters. The first parameter here is I'm going to be passing it a value of a time. And then the second parameter is going to be utilized to execute a subroutine. So let's go back to this first parameter. I'm going to be first calling the now function, which is going to return the current system time of your computer at the time when you open up your workbook. And the second, I'm adding to that time a time value. In this case, I'm going to be passing it a string in this format. The first part of this string is going to represent the hours. The second part is going to represent the minutes. Third part is going to represent seconds. So what I'm doing here is once I open up the workbook, I'm going to have this splash screen open for a period of 7 seconds. Once the 7 seconds has elapsed, I will execute this subroutine called close form. We're also going to be using the unload statement. The purpose of this is it's going to be associated with this user form, and I'm going to remove this user form from memory, and then all the memory that was taken up by the user form will then get freed or reclaimed by your system. I'm also going to be setting some properties on the image control that I'm going to be using and on the user form, and I will explain those once I get over to Excel to show you the code. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to open up Excel and I'm going to open up this workbook that will display the splash screen for 7 seconds, and after 7 seconds has elapsed, it will close that splash screen, and then the user will then be able to use the worksheet. So let's go over there now. So here I am in Excel, and I'm going to open up this workbook called My Splash Screen. Once I open up, you'll notice a splash screen will appear for 7 seconds. So here's the splash screen, and it's going to be displayed for 7 seconds, and then you'll be able to see, as you can see, it closed. And now the user is able to work within this workbook and within this particular sheet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to the Developer tab and then select Visual Basic so I can open up the VBA editor. And now I'm going to show you the code behind it. So if you remember, when you open up a workbook, there is a workbook event or subroutine that will get executed. So I'm going to show you where that is. So you're going to click on this workbook, double click on it, and it's automatically going to open, and I'm automatically going to the workbook selection up here, and I'm going to and it's going to, in this instance, there's many different events or subroutines associated with a workbook. In this case, I'm going to be using the open. So within here, again, I have a user form called UF/form. That's just what I called it. You could call it anything that you want. Again, .show means what it's going to do is going to open up that user form. So let's now go over to the user form over here to the left, and it'll show that there's one user form associated with this project and this workbook, and I'm going to double click on it. And what I got on this user form is an image control, which is where this picture is, and a label down here, which is basically it doesn't do anything other than get displayed with the image control. Up here on the top is a property that you can set for the user form. So we're going to go over here to the properties dialog box, and if you don't know how to show the properties window, all you have to do is go over up to the top where it says view and then select properties window down here. So this caption up here is set by the property called caption, which is right here. And you can name this anything that you want. This that's what I set it to. I also did something by setting the back color of this user form to be white. You could set it to any color that you want. So let's change it. And as you can see, this is the back color of the user form. I just selected white. That's the other property of this user form that we're going to be using. Now I'm going to select this image control that I inserted, and I did that by insert. So we're going to look at the image control, and in order to insert an image control, whenever you go up to insert user form, sometimes this toolbox property window does not display. In order to show this toolbox down here, all you have to do is go under view and then click on toolbox right here, and then that will show. And within this toolbox window there's an image control, and let's see which one it is. It's a frame. Right here, this is the image control right here, and all you have to do is just click on it and place your cursor wherever that you want. It'll insert the image control. So within this image control, I had to select an image to display within that image control, and that property is set over here, and the property name is actually the picture property. And if you click on here, click on these dots here, and all you have to do, it'll open up a dialog box that actually will allow you to select an image from your computer. So that's how I did that. And this label is also another control that you select right here. This is the label control, and all I did was add the label control, and then the property to set this value here is right here, the caption property. So those are the properties that I used for the image control and the user form. Now let's go back to the last part of this, and that is in this module here, basically a subroutine. And for you to insert another module or subroutine, you go up to insert, and it says module right here. So the purpose of this subroutine called close form is it's using the unload statement, and what I'm doing is after I display the user form for 7 seconds, it's automatically gonna unload this user form from memory. In other words, close it. So let's go back to this image control, and let's go back to the code within the user control here. And this is the activate event like I was talking to you about. This is just comments here to show you how to use it. And again, this is the code for that. So I hope today's example helps you out very much. Thanks again for stopping by. Bye now.